So let me start with the Maker's Audit and Guide. So again, this is a clickable download right from the Wayfinder site. And in many ways, I actually think this is a more helpful resource, the most helpful resource. And let me just bring your attention here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the audit. So whether you have a new program you're designing or an existing program that you're reviewing, use the audit to guide your review for reflective practice. There are a number of questions and prompts that we included in the guide that we curated from the tools that we found on the site. And then probably the most useful thing is this reflective practice map. So I'm going to show that to you in a few minutes, and I hope you'll use that to really improve your experiential learning or work integrated learning program. So first, let's look at the audit. The guide offers 14 questions for you to audit, and I'll just go through the first three. The first one is kind of funny. Does your reflective practice include questions or activities focused on the learner's career development? Well, when we look at a lot of reflective practice reports and prompts and assignments and templates, oddly, they don't include very much career development related questions or prompts. So I think it's really helpful to include some things like how do you feel this internship may influence your future educational choices, your future job or career choices, right? Sometimes the resources do ask about skills, but they often don't connect the skills to jobs or careers. So there might be stronger linkages there. Have you considered the DEAL model for critical reflection? So there are a lot of great frameworks out there for reflective practice. The DEAL framework is one of them. It's an acronym. It stands for Describe, Examine, and Articulate Learning. So describe is just getting somebody to describe what happened. Examine is to look a bit more carefully at some of the skills they might have got out of it. And then articulate learning is trying to really say what happened for me, what do I now know, or what do I like or don't like based on that. So that's a really useful way to think about how to structure your prompts. Does reflective practice that you employ provide both purposeful, active, and critical examination of both positive and negative experiences? So many times learners expect to be asked what they like, and they are reluctant to say what they don't like. And yet many people don't like their work integrated learning, or they don't like aspects of it. And we know that that's a really useful insight. What you didn't like gives you a direction forward. If you didn't like so much, design stuff on your computer and you'd rather be more interactive with people, that's an important clue. Or vice versa, there was too much interaction with people and you wanted more time working alone on your computer. That is great information. And yet our student focus group that we engaged as part of the CERIC-funded project, time and again, students said they did not feel they could be honest in their reflections because they didn't want to say they didn't like something. They thought their professor, their instructor didn't want to hear that. And some of those reflective practice reports were going to be given to the workplace supervisor. And the student didn't want that supervisor to see their negative comments or risk not getting a job there in the future. So certain things to consider there. Next is this reflective practice map. So let me show you what we've got here. And the guide offers 12 sets of questions and prompts that you can use within the map that I'm showing you here. So consider the columns here. First of all, we have reflection before an experience. Let's call that preflection. We have reflection during the experience, and then we have reflection afterwards, reflection on experience. And we can do it in one of four ways. You can reflect alone, you can reflect with peers, or with an instructor or the WIL coordinator, or at the workplace with the supervisor. So I'm not saying you need to fill out all 12 of these cells, but if you picked a few, like this one shows 7, you're gonna do more than mostly what happens in reflective practice, which is mostly it's just after, and mostly it's just peer reflect alone using a written assignment. So in this case, all of the green text is actually an element within the guide. So for instance, before an internship, say, you could have learners write and do the build your professional identity activity, which is in the Maker's Guide. The will instructor or coordinator or co-op coordinator could do a workshop and ask about expectations. During the experience or the internship or co-op or project, peers can meet in a small group and they could do the two things, prompts and exercise. And then the workplace supervisor could bring a small group together and ask about contrasts between expectations and the present experience. And then finally, after reflection, learners can write some kind of reflective report. They could use narrative reflective tools, online tools such as Online Storyteller that Rich and I have worked on at OneLifeTools to help reflect on the experiences and stories that they had and try and draw from it the skills, the personal qualities, the influences, the interests, the assets that they got out of that experience. They could do a workshop with the co-op coordinator using the feed forward resource, which is included in the guide. And it's on the next slide. I'm going to show it to you in a second. And then they could do something with the workplace supervisor at the end of the experience, for instance, the professional identity series of questions. So if you connect the dots from what you see on this slide to the guide, you're going to find all of these elements and a blank of one of these reflective practice maps so that you can put that together for your experiential learning or work integrated learning program. So let's just have a quick look at this feed forward. I really like this. It's an evidence-based approach, a narrative approach from Kluger and Neer. And if you went or have access to the Connexus 22 conference, Rich and I did a live, like a role play of it that you can watch, which is fun. But here are the questions for feed forward. First, the story. So it's kind of like a deal model. It's a describe, tell me a story at the internship or co-op when you felt happy, energized, in the flow. What was the peak moment of the story? How did you think and feel? What were the conditions in you that allowed that story to happen? The conditions in others, who influenced it and how? What were the conditions in the organization? And then these conditions serve this feed forward question, which is, to what degree do your career or education plans for the immediate future take you closer to or further away from the conditions that allowed you to feel what you described? So this is a nice career development related question baked into the feed forward model. This could be done individually. It's a nice paired activity, or you could do a whole workshop where learners are interacting with one another. Okay, that's a little bit about the guide. Let's move on to the Wayfinder search site. So you will find this on CERIC's website. And if you go straight to the resources here and click Wayfinder Reflective Practice Resources, you'll find what we're looking for. So what I'll do is I'm going to jump between the slides that you have here and the actual site. So here, what do we have is the Wayfinder site homepage. And a key thing to know about the resources that you find there are in 4 categories. So a tool is like a specific set of reflective practice prompts. A network is a group of people that you can connect with and learn more. A concept is an idea like deal. And a catalog, sometimes we found one site was like an umbrella and it had lots of other things underneath it. And so we called that a catalog. You can show results or search by category or other ways of filtering it and then click through to the final resource. So let me give you the first demo, and I'm going to jump to the site. Let's imagine you are a staff member at a university and you're seeking resources for an engineering program. So if I go to the search site itself, I'm going to, and here you see the search site, and the first thing that you get to do is say, who are you? So in this case, we said, okay, I'm a university staff member. I'm going to search, and I'm going to find all the resources that were related to college and university staff. So we see these resources, and now I'm going to go down on the filters here, and you see the subject filter. I'm going to click on engineering. Now, this is going to narrow the number of resources. When I look at a resource, anything like this, I can click on it and read more, so I can get all of the data points for it here. And then if I click through, it's going to take me to the actual site. So let's give that a try. So this is taking me to the McMaster University Instructor Reflection Toolkit. And you'll notice this is kind of like a catalog site. It's got what is reflection and why, and it's got a lot of pieces in it, right? So on the one hand, the Wayfinder found this for you. The assignment templates are an actual resource, right? So if you go into these assignments and at the bottom level, these worksheets, this is the actual item, something where you're going to find reflective practice questions. So I'm just going to jump back to the Wayfinder here and show you that while this was a catalog, right, it found the overall instructor reflection toolkit, the assignment templates, that would have taken you right to the templates, the second thing that I showed you. So just a key word about how to look at all of these resources. And when you do find something, let me just jump back to the slide here. And some people gave us feedback that they wanted more of an explanation of what these resources are. So we did our best to come up with a good title for it, the assignment templates, for example. And if you were trying to describe this to yourself, what have I found? Just use the filter headings, right? This is a toolkit or guide. It is appropriate for any experiential learning. Who is it for as a maker, for post-secondary staff or faculty or any designer? The learner it's designed for is a university undergrad or postgrad. The subject is engineering. It's from McMaster University. It was published in 2021 in English. So all of that is there as a kind of descriptor. We just didn't think we needed a sentence to say all of that, because you can see that it is connected through those headings. The other thing to know about is that there's a little glossary. So if you click the I, the glossary just tells you some of what did maker mean, designer, developer. Sometimes we used acronyms like EL or co-op or CCR's co-curricular record, and a couple of links to CWIL Canada and BHER that have a lot more related information about experiential learning and work integrated learning. So demo number 2, let's say you're staff at a college and you're seeking resources for a co-op program. So I'll jump back. I'm going to clear the search so that we can start with a brand new search. This time I'm going to say I'm a college staff member, and I'm going to be looking for co-op resources this time. So let's see if we can filter out the co-op resources for experiential learning type. So here we have co-op or service learning. Most of the resources fit any experiential learning. Some are more focused on work, but let's say co-op. So we find 9 resources here. And notice, everybody, there's 9. I can display them this way, or I can display them more in a row, so I fit more across. And let me also show you here that in addition to English resources, we also found French resources. So it shows the French resources. We do have a language picker here, but it defaults to everything. So that's an example of what you might find. So for example, here we have a competency assessment worksheet from the University of Victoria. Next demo. You've heard of DEAL. Maybe you came to this presentation and you've heard of the DEAL model or framework and you want to learn more about it. So let me show you one other aspect of the search site. When you go search like all, this is the default of all the resources. Notice up here, I have a text search box. So I'm actually just going to type in DEAL and see if I've got something that relates. So we find 6 resources that are really helpful. So I'm going to go to this one here, the DEAL framework from Brock University. They've done some great work on all of this, and it's going to bring me to kind of like a concept page. So if you notice at this part, it brought you right to, it's actually on a page, but it's bringing you right to the part of the page where we see frameworks for reflection. And then it's taking me to the deal framework where we can learn more about that. Okay, 2 more quick demos. The next one I'm going to give you is a specific example. It's one that I thought was kind of fun and you might find useful. Let's say you want a tool for a learner exercise. So you're any designer and you're looking for a learner exercise. So what does that mean? Again, I'm going to go for anything here. And this time the resource type is going to be a learner exercise. And here I'm going to find one that I liked. It's this one from OCAD, a career guide, reflection, and goal setting page. And it's a PDF, and I thought you'd like it, so I just thought I would bring one thing up here that might be interesting for us to share. So on one page, the folks here have come up with a kind of reflection and goal setting, kind of like a treasure hunt, you know, where you start asking yourself questions and sub questions, and it kind of walks you through this process. And I thought it was a fun design, and they got it all on one page, which I always appreciate. And so it gives you a chance to kind of think through a little bit, and then it's got all the relevant links on it. So I just thought I would offer that one pager from the folks at OCAD U. And finally, I'll give you one more demo, and then we'll pull things together. So let's say you're new to developing experiential learning programs and you want to talk to people and learn more about it. So could you seek some support or coaching? So in this demo, we're going to focus on the network of people that you might connect with. And I don't know if you noticed here, one of our options is networks, right? So the categories, we have a number of categories here. And one of our categories is network. So I'm going to click on network. There's 31 networks. I'm going to show it so I can see more than the tiles here. And notice we have some 30 provincial, national, and international. Notice we have the National Career Development Association here. We have WACE International. Most of the provincial career associations are here for helping you to connect with others. So I'd encourage you to have a look, you know, see if there's something that's relevant for you and find your network that might help you to get some coaching and support for your experiential learning programs. Okay, so pulling all of this together, I want to just mention this last thing where on the side here, do you see these tabs? There's the contact us and the feedback. I'll just go to the live site again. And the contact us not only gives you a chance to send us a message, but if you're going to suggest a resource, these are the 10 data points that we need. So if you could provide those 10 data points on any suggested resource, then please let us know, because that would be really helpful. And feedback, there's a survey. It takes about 5 minutes. So if you want to give us some feedback, please take the survey and click on it right there. And for Francophone friends, just a short description on how to search through for French resources. So there you go. That's the Wayfinder site. I hope you'll use it, give us feedback. Pulling everything together, I would say whether you're using these tools to enhance an existing program or building a new one, here are a few next steps. Use the audit questions in the Maker's Guide to assess your program. Those 14 questions are a good start. Access the Wayfinder, and I'm going to challenge you to find maybe 5 resources to stimulate your program design. Like, there's too much in there. Just pick 5 that you find useful. Look at them in detail and see what kind of useful insights you can get from them for your program. 3, use that reflective practice map, you know, the 4x3 table that I showed you earlier. A blank one is shown in the guide, and then you can link that to the prompts that you'll find in the guide as well to broaden and deepen your reflective practice and continue to build your reflective practice skills. Look for a fall 2022 CERIC webinar series. Join some of those networks I showed you. Meet with us. Rich and I would be happy to chat with you, coach you through you know, your initial review of some of these Wayfinder resources. We've also been working with our own reflective practice tools that help you scale up the reflective practice needs using narrative means. So I hope this was helpful. Here's our contact info. You can reach me, Mark, at OneLifeTools.com, or Rich or Lisa. And Rich, over to you just to say a couple of more words about wrapping up and what people might take away from today's session.
Yeah, I think one of the real goals of all this was how could we make something that you could do in a self-directed way to improve your own learning? So if you had this access to the guide and we're on the Wayfinder and you understood the 3 Venn diagrams, you really could self-instruct yourself how to use this. And then once you got to the Wayfinder, there's a whole cafeteria of tools. So to me, this is a great way, and we found a way to put it together in one package. So please think about the Venn diagrams, use the guide to self-instruct and improve your own skills, go to the Wayfinder to find great resources, and think about how you and I can continue to develop our reflective practices. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Rich, and thanks everybody for watching and for playing around with the Wayfinder site. Please give us feedback, and if you have questions, let us know. I'm at mark@onelifetools.com, and you can connect with us there. There's a forum for you to let us know what questions that you have, and look forward to hearing back from you. Thanks, everybody.